Hello and welcome to the NHL Best Bets. Yesterday we had a few good games, actually full dozen of games, but we made a naturally few good picks here, and we checked those first. We had Florida on the road against Nashville. Especially two first periods, Florida was much better, and Nashville game is pretty messed up overall. So Florida won 6-2, and second game St. Louis continued their series in Los Angeles. This time they started red hot, led 3-0, but then LA Kings started to play, and especially their captain Anze Kopitar showed why he is still one of the best players in NHL. Kings came back and won then overtime 4-3. So good night for our picks. Any comments on these, Tommy?
Yeah, great to be in the green again, and the games went pretty much exactly as we expected. The first one, Nashville is in all kinds of trouble, from the goaltender to the defense to the offense, so no problem for Florida there to take the points, and it was quite an impressive performance by the visitors. Especially the second period was just one-way street, and no chance for Predators. There is a lot of issues with that team, so we're probably going to continue in playing against them when we have the chance. And then the Los Angeles Kings St. Louis game, also as we predicted, very close battle like the previous one. This time St. Louis came in with a really strong performance in the first period, but then Los Angeles Kings is this sort of grinding team. They fight until the bitter end, and now they managed to turn the game after going 3 goals down in the first period. So a little bit like our picks, digging the hole first, so we can then climb out of it. So that's what Kings did, and a very impressive performance from the veterans again, led the team as they are supposed to. So the young guys there can take some role models from these Dustin Brown, Anze Kopitar and the likes, who've been now playing really well in the last couple of games.
How about other games last night? We discussed few of those road values that we had, but at the end decided that those are maybe not so sure picks this time, and I think that was in many cases correct anticipation here.
Yeah, very close games all over the place, and like we discussed, for example, this Colorado Anaheim game. Again, a lot of goals scored, but Anaheim managed to win the game after the overtime, or was it shootout? But anyway, in the end, so heavy home favorites here did not work for us. So we try to stay away from these games. A couple of other games, Vegas then managed to do what they were supposed to. We did have the home team there winning. San Jose was supposed to do better, but now Marc-Andre Fleury returned between the pipes for Vegas, played another shutout, kept the San Jose at bay. So these sort of games that we kind of expected to happen, but the machine had some faith in San Jose, but Vegas took the spoils there.
How about Dallas? They beat Columbus for 5-0. After Dallas haven't been, let's say, so good in scoring recently. In the last 5 games, they've actually scored before this one just 4 goals, and now ketchup bottle was open and it was 5-0. So do you think this is the start of the recovery from Stars?
It definitely looks so, that they have now gotten their stride going, despite missing Radulov and Seguin and a couple of other players through injury as well. They have been now playing more evenly the all 4 lines, so they are able to put the pressure on their opponent much better than early in the season. Of course, now against Columbus, not sure how big a threat Columbus ever was to Dallas, but keeping them at 0 goals, of course, a good performance, and also scoring 5 against defensive team like Columbus is an impressive feat. So I think Dallas might be now gaining a little bit of momentum, and they will definitely go for challenging in the top teams of that division as well.
Yeah, I think it would be maybe time for it, because right now, when we take a look of the standings, Dallas is second to last after Detroit. There is naturally a bit lower quality team than Stanley Cup finalist from the last season. So let's see how Dallas is doing. Then we had a few other games that we thought would go as predicted. New York Islanders was very strong against Buffalo, and another game, Edmonton against Calgary. Do you think these home teams are back in business now, especially after Edmonton was struggling a bit with Toronto?
Yeah, it was very expected bounce back from Edmonton. Not a clear victory over Calgary this time around. 3-2 was the final score, but still a lot better game than those Toronto catastrophes. So a good bounce back from the Edmonton team. They played pretty well, pretty solid defensively, which is important in this Canadian division, and they now managed to score a couple of goals to win the game. So a very good win for them. And in New York, like we mentioned last night, Islanders maybe not the best team of that division, maybe not the best team in the league, but Buffalo is at the moment probably the worst team in this division at least, and probably all around the league. Nothing is going their way. They have also problems in everywhere. They are underperforming heavily. So a clear victory for Islanders there, and they're meeting again tonight. The odds are very bad for Islanders, but with this performance, Buffalo has no chance whatsoever.
Yeah, let's continue to tonight's game. There is I think, a dozen or maybe 8 games tonight, and we have highlighted here 2 in our picks. We have New York Rangers playing against Pittsburgh. Last night, Pittsburgh won at home against Philadelphia in a very tight game, 4-3. And at the same time, New York played in New Jersey, won quite convincingly 6-3. And Rangers have now started to play maybe the way how we predicted at the beginning of the season after the lousy start within the first 10 to 15 games. Now in last 8 games, they won 6. And they beaten on the road like Philadelphia's and Washington. So they have been playing much better than earlier in the season. Plus 125 odds provide good value here for the road underdog. And then a little bit like we discussed, Nashville continues their game now back to Dallas. So traveling from home to Texas, and Dallas is ready and waiting there. Odds minus 128 is very good value for home team, and especially after these teams' arrows are now pointing a bit different direction. If we can take any indication from last night's performance by the home team.
Yeah, these are really nice picks. Last night, Pittsburgh Penguins played against their rivals, Philadelphia Flyers. Got a little bit of lucky goal to get the game even, and then went ahead in the third period. 4-3 was the final score. Very close game. A lot of this usual Battle of Pennsylvania. A little bit of a fisticuffs there and all that. So maybe now entering another game against New York Rangers. Pittsburgh Penguins maybe a little bit fatigued from last night, possibly after the win, maybe feeling a little bit too good. And Rangers have now finally managed to do what we've been predicting from early in the season, that they should be offensively a very strong team. Now they've scored a lot of goals in the past couple of games and got their game going. Probably a big factor here has been the return of Philip Chytil, who played really well in the early season, then got injured, but now is back in the lineup, and he's balancing a lot of the lines, playing well together with his line mates. And now Rangers do have 3 lines that are capable of producing offensively. So something that they didn't have early on. And even if they're missing Panarin and Trouba still, very good performance in the past couple of games, and also beating Boston, beating Capitals and Flyers. Why not beating Penguins as well, especially when Penguins are playing this sort of roller coaster hockey that they are able to beat a team and then they lose the next day. So this is what we're expecting to happen. And very easy pickings then in Dallas, like we have been discussing about Predators' problems. They were lousy last night. Florida ran over them. Second game in a row, now on the road in Dallas. Goaltender issues. Pekkarinen didn't play really well last night. No backup keeper at the moment whatsoever. Juuse Saros is injured. There is Kazimir Kaskis, who has one game in NHL before this, and it's very likely they will start Pekkarinen, who is getting older. He's a good goalie, but hasn't been performing to his level this season. So another issue for Predators there. And like we discussed, Dallas Stars now getting their game going. They were pretty good last night against Columbus. So now we are expecting that to continue, and good value for the home team.
Yeah, I think Dallas should perform like a Stanley Cup finalist, even though they have, like you mentioned, few guys out of the box with injuries. But I also agree that Dallas is good, very good pick here against Nashville. That have a star power, but they just cannot play together or are not interesting to play the level like they should perform.
Yeah, and especially the defense that is led by Roman Josi. The defense has been a letdown. They're not really helping the goaltenders at all. So something that has been the definitely the strength of Nashville Predators has now become a weakness. And Josi is still playing to his level. He's definitely a leader in this team, but the rest of the defense has been lousy in all regards, and that causes a lot of issues. They can't get out of their defensive zone, and the opponents get a lot of A-grade scoring chances, and these goaltenders haven't been able to save the team so many times. So probably doesn't happen tonight either.
There are a few other games with the Rangers that we have some value for road underdog that is favorite in our simulation. So Florida continues their trip now to Carolina. They have back-to-back game after last night's one in Nashville, but Carolina is ready and waiting. So do you think Florida have good value here, or basically any chances against maybe a bit better team in Carolina?
Yeah, Florida has shown that they can compete with the Carolinas and the Tampa Bays of this division. So I think it's a lot more of a coin flip 50-50 game than the odds indicate. The odds have Carolina favored for 57%. The simulations indicate Florida as the favorite for about 52%. So we have that upside down here. So I think Florida, of course, it shows a bit that they've been scoring a lot of goals lately. Last night scored 6. Carolina hasn't played in a while. So it is a lot closer game. I do believe that Panthers do have a chance here. Carolina is not that overwhelmingly good performer at the moment. So I think it's a very close game.
Yeah, those two games that these teams played last week, Carolina won both of them. First one 4-3 and second 3-2 were very, very even games. So I also think if you can get the good odds for the road team here, it may be worth the bet. And another one, also same way, Washington goes to Philadelphia. Washington got beaten by Boston a few nights ago, and now they rested a day while Philadelphia is playing back-to-back games here. So do you think Washington is deserved favorite like our machine says?
Yeah, there must be a reason why the system likes Capitals, and I think They are a bit better team maybe at the moment than Philadelphia is. Philly has some issues with injuries, and the defense hasn't been as good as it was before. Also goaltending not so certain. Carter Hart should return to the goal after Brian Elliott took the game against Penguins last night. Washington's a similar way. Vanecek has been playing pretty well. He should continue in the goal, but we'll see if there is some changes there. We do have Washington winning this game for 55%, while the odds indicate 54% for Philadelphia. So another upside down setting there. I do believe it's a really close game, like with these two teams usually is. Washington probably has the upper hand due to 1 day rest, while Philadelphia did play last night in the Battle of Pennsylvania. Again, maybe a little bit empty tank there, so Capitals do have the advantage for that.
Any other games that you think are worth the bet based on your qualitative experiments or machines quantitative output?
Well, there is the machine does favor New York Islanders again against Buffalo, like we said, discussed earlier, that Buffalo, a very bad team at the moment, but the odds of -204 for Islanders are not very attractive. But second game in a row for Islanders at home. I think the statistics will show that they've been really good in those games against the same opponent. Buffalo doesn't look like a team that can compete, so it's a good value there for a couple of percent. According to the simulations, of course, the odds quite bad, but still value pick. And another one, have to highlight this Ottawa going to Calgary. Ottawa has been one of our banks this season as a massive underdog, so there is a couple of percent value for their odds of +166. So Calgary also struggling at the moment. They change head coach. Good old Daryl Sutter is back there. So we'll see what he brings, but I think Ottawa does have a better chance than the odds indicate here.
Yeah, one word for the Islanders still, that they have played this season 4 back-to-back games, and another surprise, 3 of those have resulted win for them, and I think all of those back-to-back games that they've played at home, they've won. So that's one other emphasis, that don't bet against the Islanders when they are playing home back-to-back games.
Yeah, I think that will go also in the playoffs. It's good to remember how good a playoff team this team is. And then when you have these small series against the same opponent, it is pretty much the same setting. So something to keep in mind when playing the Islanders.
Yeah, I think only problem for Islanders is that can they reach the playoffs and start to play. But let's see. It's a very even division, and right now Islanders are leading the division, so they are in good spot maybe to go all the way to the playoffs.
Yeah, you do have to beat the likes of Sabres if you are to reach the playoffs.
That's true. Let's see how badly Sabres are beaten tonight, and we'll continue tomorrow.
Let's do that.